And with regard to, oh God, first question, altruism, yes. I think, it's funny, smaller brands like Joe's, I can't remember the name, let's just call it Joe's Beef Jerky House. There's a beef jerky company on Reddit that threw out a discount code because a bunch of the community was upset because beef jerky is too damn expensive. And there was one of those random stories on Reddit about some guy whose house burned down. And beef jerky guy stepped in to be like, listen, friend, I know this won't help you rebuild your house, but if you need a bunch of meat that's going to stick around for the next 6 months, I'm going to send you a bunch of free beef jerky. And so, I don't think it would devalue it. I think as long as, if it's context sensitive and they kind of do it appropriately, it would be great. Like, for instance, I would love for a UPS or a FedEx to cover all the shipping for the Secret Santa project. Because right now this is the world's largest Secret Santa project, and it's going on right now. And Redditors have to pay X amount of money for all of their shipping needs. It would be great if FedEx stepped in, and I'm sure the Reddit community would respond well and say, "Wonderful, that's thank you FedEx for understanding our community, for knowing that shipping costs are a pain in the ass." And brands like ThinkGeek are running Secret Santa promotions right now, and that's I think internet communities are certainly skeptical of marketing and branding and all those company interactions, but they're also, as long as they're treated like adults, as long as they're treated like human beings, then they're okay with it.
As long as the brand, I think, acts like part of the community and not as something that comes in and takes over or substitutes the community. Like, I think all the brands on Reddit that have really worked, for example, the Old Spice guy coming in and doing an Ask Me Anything as if he was part of the community and reacting to people as if he has, read all of the stuff that's on Reddit. And I think you basically just have to be humble about it, and then people won't be offended. If, for example, a big company came in and said, we're going to take over this fundraiser and now it's going to be our name brand all over the place, the Reddit community won't respond to that. But if you just slap the alien in a couple of places, it shows a certain amount of respect to what the community has done for your brand and also what the community has done in general, and people respond to that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a point about, another thing I'm thinking about too is, I guess it's the 4chan Reddit comparison is particularly apt in thinking about altruism and anonymity, because the normal assumption is that when things are anonymous, people naturally behave like dicks. But someone brought it up to me recently, but it's actually not necessarily the case, right? There's actually a lot of examples online where anonymous people do really great things, and it ends up being how people use the technology more than anything else. So, yes?
So, sorry. I had a question I'll let any of you guys take this, and it's actually to your comment there about slapping the alien a couple places. I do social media, like new media PR for Time Warner Cable, and we're not always the most beloved brand with everybody. And you're laughing, that's cool. But so recently I went back and forth because I'm a huge Reddit user and I read it all day long, and I'm glad that my boss isn't watching this right now because that's how much I read it. And I created a series of infographics that explained how mobile data travels from YouTube on your iPhone to somebody on a laptop. And there's a perfect opportunity to use the Reddit alien like fighting with a cat as the example of what somebody would be recording. And I went back and forth on this for like days with myself and designers to be like, I really want to give a shout out to this community that means a lot to me, but I represent a brand that overwhelmingly draws negative commentary on the internet. I don't want to be seen as pandering or just like shrink wrapping something, slapping a sticker on it and shoving it out there. Can you speak to that balance and when it works or when it doesn't, or even if you guys think that would have been well received? Because I know that I meant it well, and people love it when Colbert holds up his notes and there's a Reddit alien on it, but I'm not Stephen Colbert, so where is that?
I think the internet's pretty savvy about differentiating between corporations and the individuals who work in them. So even if Reddit doesn't necessarily have a great impression of Time Warner, I think there's a lot of precedent for individuals within the campaign starting Twitter accounts that are brutally honest or whatever, and the internet really reacting well to that. So I think that sort of thing totally would work, especially if you framed it as like, look guys, I snuck a Reddit alien into my presentation for you, and instead of like Time Warner saying the same thing, Right. So yeah. I think if it comes from an individual, it definitely would be well respected.
Yeah, I guess the line I'm trying to occupy is being a human being who is me representing Time Warner Cable. So I'm consciously trying to humanize the brand, and I have that freedom. but I really don't want to disrespect something because I don't want to be like the man ruining the party either, you know? Anyways,
So as the dude who doodled the Reddit alien, all I ask is that you make sure it wins in the fight against the cat. All right, fair enough.
Cool, so I'm getting, well, can we take one more? Just one more.
Take one more quick question.
We'll answer it in a haiku, so it'll be quick.
Perfect.
One word at a time.
Hey guys, you gave a lot of really great tips about how to reach people on the internet. So I was wondering if you could speak a little bit to how to bring things on the internet into mass media and mass culture. So like you were saying, Sad Kiana on New York Magazine, or how things like Auto-Tune the News or something gets really popular on Reddit, and then they bring that into other communities outside of it.
I really have to do this 575. Fuck.
You did this to yourself.
No, I'll do this. If you start, I'll come up with this.
Starting?
Yeah.
Haiku?
Yeah. No, just with the.
With the answer.
I can
Okay,
come up with
yeah.
it.
You'll do the TLDR haiku. Okay,
Yes.
cool. I think that's a trickier question, because ultimately what you're talking about is pulling, it's sort of what I said earlier about copying the jokers and not the joke. Like, a lot of times people from the internet, when they see their content, large air quotes, in mass media, they think, oh no, they got it, like they took it from us. And while I don't think that's the most sort of reasonable of responses, you have to understand, the internet is a bunch of communities. Most of them are subcultures, right? And it's sort of the same thing that happened with the hippie movement in the 60s. You take stuff that is supposed to represent counter, and you put it into the mainstream, and they do feel like the party is a little bit ruined. The only sort of advice I have about that is, if you're going to do it, try to be jokey about it. Try to take a little bit of the humor and as much of the context as you can about where this image came from. And, if you're going to do it, try to include as much of that as possible so the community at least sees that you're trying. And then also, try to give back, with the Sonic remixes thing. The cool thing is that the internet really is a conversation that consists of content. People aren't just talking to each other, they're making things and iterating. And so, if they can see what you're making as, he's really doing it, as an iteration, then, they feel more like value is being added, rather than just taken and spread out without their sort of permission.
Yeah, I guess my slice at it is maybe a little simpler, which is I think the reason that you've seen internet culture go so mainstream is because it's really good content, right? It's really funny, which is one of the reasons why it's gotten so popular. So almost my advice to someone who's looking to bring it to mainstream culture is also to be really awesome, right? Maybe it actually is just that simple as to produce really good stuff, and stuff that's kind of in that vein.
Alexis?
This is a lot harder than I thought, and in the interest of time, you'll have I'll email you my finished haiku. But yes, content uber alles. Really, seriously, if it's good content, it'll find a way to spread, and if it involves Keanu and maybe cats, it might be something my dad will look at and laugh at too.
Dinosaurs.
Always dinosaurs. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Cool, thanks.